naga bobe. Pari kwecha kwino as long ndichikanyira ndichinanaira pichana pichana kondo manyireri penyuri kurema we bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima as long ndichifema ndichatsvaga maukamba kunge usama penyuri kurema bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima as long ndichifema ndichatsvaga maukamba kunge usama upenyu wangu toda kukwidza masotsi wonyatsosungira mashure kana une lots wonyatsobvura dho reyako ofisi dati waenda kunga kurilisa matracks chero basa ezilongu uchiwana baks chakaipa kuba nehora tizvide niksi usaite zvinhu zvinokubvisisa mamaksi kuita zvinonyadza kuzokupfekedza maski penyu uri kurema we bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama penyu uri kurema bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama ichokwadi kuti chaitemura chichaseva ndapinda musango nembwa dzinorumo ngemakava vakutonge munyama ini nhasi ndozvireva sango randiri rizere njiva ndikati mangwana nditore ndandi ndopa ndinona musango muzere mbeva avafare nenyama njiseva vanofara nemuto nchitova chanyuri kurema bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama penyuri kurema bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama upenyu wangu toda kukwidza masotsi wonyatsosungira mashure kana une lots wonyatsobvura dho reyako ofisi dati waenda kunga kurilisa matracks chero basa ezilongu uchiwana baks chakaipa kuba nehora tizvide niksi usaite zvinhu zvinokubvisisa mamaksi kuita zvinonyadza kuzokupfekedza maski penyu uri kurema we bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama penyu uri kurema bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama penyu uri kurema we bada zvikitadzisa kupinda musango ndichinofima ezilongu ndichifema ndichatsvaga maobhamba kunge usama.
Good evening, viewers from all over the world. We welcome you to our weekly program, News Review, where we take a look at the stories that made the headlines of the past week. Tinoku Shirai, welcome all our viewers all over the world, all parts of the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome you, our viewers and our listeners on Chage Radio, Zimbabwe, on ZimI, on Chage Radio as well, on Facebook and YouTube channels. Welcome you to our weekly program, News Review, where we take a look at the stories that made the headlines over the past week on Chage Radio News. Today I'm joined by Leader Estella. Leader Estella, could you greet our viewers all over the world?
Yes, thank you so much, Leader Sophia. And to all our viewers and listeners, a warm welcome to today's episode of News Review right here on Change Radio. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, whether you're joining us from our Change Radio stream on our internet stream, or on our Facebook page, or on ZimI, or on our YouTube page. Warm welcome to the program. And if you will allow me, Leader Sophie, to acknowledge the first few listeners who have already posted comments on the show. First place is Pat Gangs. And Pat Gangs is saying, boy, hello, my brother or my sister. I'm not sure. Pat, is it short for Patricia or Patrick? I don't know. Pat, how are you doing? And Liman Leo Majoni says, Change Radio, Ndoipi. Change Radio, my brother, is a new radio station broadcasting over the internet and on WhatsApp. Our aim in, creating this radio station is to sow the seeds of change throughout our communities and societies in Zimbabwe. We want to see change in our economy, change in our social systems, change in our values, change in our political system. We want to see a whole a full range of things changing in our country and changing all for the better. And Emmanuel Nyakonda says, evening. Good evening to you, sir. How are you doing? Zamai Lord Lomtata says, I love Change Radio. Very informative. Thank you so much, my brother. We are doing this for you. And to hear you acknowledging our efforts like this is very uplifting. Thank you so much. Providence Mutize. Oh, Mr. Mutize, how are you? Evening leader Estella and Sophia. Mr. Mtize is one of us from behind the scenes. Nice to see you there on Facebook, supporting us and cheering us on. Pat Gangs again is Patrick. Okay, my brother, nice to know. Thank you for tuning in. Over to you, Leader Sophie.
Thank you, Leader Barbara, and thank you. Welcome to all our viewers. Thank you for those comments. We value them. Keep them coming. Spread words. Keep sharing. As Leader rightly pointed out, Change Radio, there to give a fresh perspective, a balanced perspective. We are there to change lives and change communities. So spread the word. I don't know if our admin in the background can just put the site, the link to the online link, the radio address, so that our viewers and listeners can go and hear for themselves and see for themselves what Change Radio is all about. A fresh perspective, for the Zimbabwean community in Zimbabwe and in the diaspora. Okay, without wasting much of our time, let's go straight into the show. I'll just give a brief rundown on the topics that we'll be discussing today, stories that made the headlines in the past week. Today, there's the link there of the radio station, Change Radio link. Go in, have a look, and I guarantee you will not stop what you've started. Right. Today we'll be looking at Joshua Nkomo Memorial. We'll be remembering Father Zimbabwe, the stories that made the headlines this week. We'll be looking at the Zupco fares that have been increased. We are also going to be looking at COVID-19 updates. We'll talk about the Eswatini protests. We'll talk about the Chinese companies that are exploiting workers in Zimbabwe. We'll talk about the North American, the Dakota branch, making a borehole to Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe community. We'll also be talking about the Excel Gate, the stolen election, Excel Gate saga. We'll also be looking at former South African President Jacob Zuma's imprisonment. And we'll also be talking about voter registration. So without wasting much of your time, let's go into it. Leader Stella, can you take us through the memorial for Father Zimbabwe?
Yes, absolutely, Leader Sophia. And before I go into that, I would like to remind all our viewers and listeners to go and register to vote. This is the only way we can ensure that we have control of how our future is planned, of how our country is run. So if you have not yet gone to register to vote, I encourage you to make sure that you do that, and to encourage all the people around you to go and register to vote. But without wasting much more of your time, I will go straight into the story of Father Zimbabwe, Joshua Nkomo, who we as a country remembered on the 1st of July, being the day that he passed on in 1999. Joshua Nkomo was a national hero who fought for the independence of Zimbabwe, and he continued fighting for the rights of Zimbabweans throughout his lifetime. And even when he was under persecution, he still had high hopes for Zimbabwe. And today he is remembered for his famous quote, which he said, Zimbabwe will not die. Young people will save it. And I think these words are prophetic because today we are in that moment where Zimbabwe is literally threatened with death as all our systems are collapsing. But as Father Zimbabwe foretold, the death might seem imminent, but it will not happen. The young people will rise and save the country. And the first thing that you need to do as young people to ensure that we save our country is to first go and register to vote, and then make sure that you go and vote when the time comes. So there you have it, Father Zimbabwe, a much loved figure in among our people. May his dear soul continue to rest in peace. Over to you, Leader Sophie.
Thank you very much for that insightful touching tribute to the late Father Zimbabwe leader Stella. Indeed, he remains in our hearts, in the hearts of Zimbabweans. Going on, can you also take us through the Zuko fares, the increase in the Zuko fares, leader Stella?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Leader Sophie. There have been reports that Zimbabwe United Passenger Company, better known to most of us as ZUPCO, has decided to increase bus fares by up to 100%, which has infuriated a lot of people because people are already living in hardship due to lack of employment, the destruction of their sources of income, which was vending, now that there is no industries in the country, and which is also worsened by the COVID lockdown, which has extended over a year now. And so for Zupco to turn around and hike bus fares by 100%, when they know the kind of situation that people are dealing with at the moment, it has infuriated people because a lot of people have had to walk to work to town because they simply can't afford the fares that Zupco and the combis are asking. What's your take on this story, Leader Sophie?
It's actually quite sad and unfortunate that the government has created this monopoly in the transport sector. People are walking to work. We've got pensioners, people who should be, on rather, and who are now having to work because their pensions have been eroded. People have lost money. NASA, it's really not an issue to be talking about NASA pension payments because the money is just not enough. So we've got pensioners coming out who are going to start their businesses and to make ends meet, working in their old age, and transport and they can't afford to get a bus to go to the new businesses that they have created, making meet, and they are now walking to work. We've got pensioners walking 4, 5, 7 kilometers just to go and sit at the table and sell their way to live. This is very we find ourselves in a situation where a country does not care about its elderly, does not care about the orphan, does not care about the vulnerable members of society, but instead we've got leaders who keep on punishing and bringing more punitive measures on their citizens. So this is just a tip of the iceberg of what's going on around the country, things that need to be addressed, which I'm sure, when President Nelson Chamisa comes into power, these things will be addressed.
Absolutely, Leader Sophie. We are dealing with a leadership that does not care at all about the people. And so we need to make sure that we resolve this issue and we choose our leadership of choice. That is the best way to secure our future.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on, we'll talk about the COVID-19 updates. The third strain is really causing havoc in Zimbabwe and all over the world. But in Zimbabwe, let us remember, let us always keep on taking care. The numbers there, the daily infection numbers shooting up to well over 1,000 per day. The death rates also increasing. I think the highest that we had last week was 59 deaths from the COVID-19 virus. Yesterday, there were 1,002 new cases that were reported. Infection rate well over 30% of the tests conducted. Let's remind ourselves that there's always let's take precautions to manage this pandemic. Let's mask up. Let's wash our hands. Let's practice social distancing. Let's practice good personal hygiene. And let's remember as well to educate those around us to keep alert and to keep with the preventative measures to getting this virus. It's very real. Going on as well, the public has been demanding an explanation on how the 18 billion US dollar COVID-19 stimulus package has been spent. So if you remember, we had Drugs International. This is where the saga that the former health minister Obed Hofwe as well was sucked in and had to resign in shame because of these stimulus package and the monies that went missing. The public, quite rightly, asking and demanding an explanation of where these amounts of monies went. Huge amounts of money, $18 billion in stimulus package that cannot be accounted for and that cannot be explained. And so let's see how the story runs out. Let's see how it goes out. But people are upset. People want to know what is happening and what has happened in that stimulus package. Of course, we have the former minister working free. We've got Drugs International, the chief executive as well. Also feeling the gold smuggling that has been happening in Rishwaya, but he's also walking free. But let's see how it plays, because the public is really up in arms and want to know what has happened to this stimulus package.
Yes, it's a very good thing, Leader Sophie, that the public are demanding and holding their leaders to account, because the citizens are the only people who have the power to hold leadership to account. They are the ones who pay through their taxes, the taxes that they contribute to the government. They are the ones who contribute to the salaries of the leaders. And so they are the bosses of these political leaders. And they are the ones who have the right to demand to know how the money that has been apportioned for COVID, for citizens, how it has been used. And if the citizens don't do this, then the politicians, they have a free hand to do whatever they please, and no one will hold them to account. And what's happening to Zimbabwe right now is the result, that they start making laws that allow them to take money and arresting those who speak out. But if we all speak out and we demand to know what's happened to that money, they can't arrest all of us. They are forced to, account for what they have done with those monies.
Quite rightly there, Stella. Moving on, we have our sponsor, a sponsor who has come on board, Gladwin Energy and Power. I think there's a little clip, video. Is that correct?
Yes, Gladwin Energy and Power. Let me just pull it up for you. There we go.
They are actually bringing in an alternative to the power cuts and the energy efficiencies that we're seeing. And also, bringing a ray of light to our people who have not had electricity and who might not have electricity for a long time because these projects were mapped out but are in a shambles because of the incompetent, illegitimate government who cannot afford, or who cannot even roll out a simple education program. I think this video.
Hello.
Right, that is it. So they are offering alternative to electricity, electricity generation for home, for your small businesses that's lacking energy and power. Okay, moving on, we go into Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, where rioters took to the streets the past week demanding democratic space in the country. I think we have some videos on that.
Oh yes, there is a video of the princess, the daughter of King Mswati. Yes, commenting on the whole issue. I will
On
let
the
you.
protest.
Yes, I'll let you listen and watch for yourselves,
I believe the king
viewers.
is open to the views of the people. He's always said it in his speeches. But what is happening on the ground here is there are no marches. In fact, there's only arson, looting, and abuse of the people, coercing Emaswati to join them in destroying buildings and strategic businesses that sustain the economy of the people.
Are you saying that the people who have died have not been killed by the security forces of Eswatini? They've been killed by other people outside? Are you at least acknowledging that there are people who have been killed?
I am saying to you that foreign mercenaries have invaded the kingdom, hired by these people with this agenda. They are carrying out the most heinous of attacks, and they've set up roadblocks in police uniform and army uniform, infiltrating the citizens and sending videos of themselves attacking innocent citizens. The order of shoot to kill did not come from the king, if there is any such order.
Right, there we have it. That's Princess Kanyeso, the eldest daughter of King Mswati III of Swaziland, denying that this order to shoot protesters and citizens has come from the king or from any government officials, which is quite interesting in a weird way because Princess Kanyeso, being the daughter of the king, and also the rash, the blatant nepotism there, being made Minister of Communication in Swaziland. This is exactly, I think, the reason why the people of Swaziland are protesting. This is the reason why so many countries in Africa are protesting and saying we've had enough of this. And if you look at Uganda as well, there were protests there, but we've got President Yoweri Museveni appointing his wife as Minister of Education and Sports. We've got his son being appointed the Chief of Staff of the Defense Forces. You start to wonder, you ask yourself, what have we done so wrong in Africans that we deserve leadership or illegitimate leadership that does not, take care of the citizens, but only those in its inner circles. And going back to Princess Anyiso denying that these are government forces that were ordered to shoot at civilians for demanding rightfully democracy and democratic faith in Swaziland, well, it has been a monarchy for so many years. It's never been a democratic country. So people are tired and they're looting the king there, buying private jets for his family and his wives. I'm not sure how many wives he has now, but I think about 14 or 17. And each of these families has to respond and king a lot of corruption, a lot of nepotism. We see his daughter there, the Minister of Communication, and people have had enough. They want democracy in the country. So, the royal family coming in and denying that, these are orders to shoot civilian citizens coming from the king himself, and putting into play that maybe there are mercenaries who are dressing up soldiers and police and shooting at civilians. What's your take on this, leader Estella?
Yes. I think the princess is simply doing what corrupt politicians and their families tend to do, try to protect their interests with lies, try to deceive the people, and hang on to power with just lies and deception. In fact, we have a short clip here of the so-called mercenaries who are being accused of going around infiltrating the kingdom and causing all this commotion. Let me play it so you can see for yourselves. It's a very short one. Yes, so we specifically chose this video because it clearly shows the vehicle from which the official who was aiming and shooting the vehicle that he embarked from, and it's clearly maybe a police car or a security car. You can see from the markings on the car. And so, the question that comes to mind is, if those are foreigners, mercenaries, who, who came in and they are trying to cause commotion in the kingdom, how did they get, hold of uniforms, ammunition, and the, the the official vehicles? How did they get hold of them? And where are the soldiers then? Where is the army? Where are the police? Why are we not seeing a fight between the Mswati police and these mercenaries who are coming in to cause commotion? Why are we not seeing any reaction from the official, the real police, and the real soldiers? So it's a blatant lie. You can very easily tell that they are just trying to cover their tracks and to keep deceiving the people.
They're caught in their own lie, caught in a lie. Because, like you rightfully point out, how do they gain access to government vehicles? These are soldier, army vehicle, and police vehicle. We can actually see him alighting from the vehicle and taking shots at civilians. I must say, the person with the video is quite brave. And I think this just speaks volumes of level of frustration that the people of Eswatini have gone through. They are no longer afraid. He's so close to this place with a gun, and yet he's taking a video to show the world of what is going on in Eswatini.
Oh, yes, absolutely, leader. It's a very sad situation. The same situation which is playing around in many African countries at the moment. Something has to give, and I think the time is near now. Things are about to change. Kangoma kana koririsa, kanenge kodaku.
Yes.
Yes, so the time is, yes, exactly.
Okay, no, thank you so much for the leader, Estella. Moving on, we talk about the Chinese companies exploiting workers in Zimbabwe. Can you take us through that, please, leader Estella?
Yes, there have been reports by an Indian media house of Chinese companies abusing employees in Zimbabwe. And before I comment on that, maybe I could play you a short clip that we have on the matter.
In the early 2000s, Zimbabwe made a deal with the devil. Back then, the country was ruled by Robert Mugabe, a corrupt, ruthless dictator. His policies invited sanctions from the US and Europe. Zimbabwe was cut off from the world. So what did Mugabe do? In 2003, he unveiled the Looking East policy. He found a willing partner in China. And since then, Beijing has flooded Zimbabwe with loans and investments. Look at some of the numbers here. Bilateral trade was $190 million in the year 2002. Today, it is $1.3 billion. The Chinese have penetrated every sector from mining to agriculture and even media. More than 80 Chinese companies operate in Zimbabwe. Together, they have invested upwards of $10 billion. But Chinese loans are always backhanded. They come packaged with deceit. Almost 2 decades later, Zimbabwe is realizing this. You see, China did not just bring money. They brought their abhorrent work culture as well. Local employees are treated like slaves. They don't get proper wages, no compensation for injuries, gas leaks and factory defects are allowed to fester.
Workers are brutalized every day. We get many reports, and they don't want those issues to be attended to. So they push back every time we raise issues. They push back and accuse those who are raising issues for bullying them. And that has been the behavior of them every time. They pretend sometimes, if you speak to them, they pretend not to understand the language. But they understand the laws. They employ very professional people in their HR departments. But cases of work deficits are plenty within the Chinese investment across the country.
That was the General Secretary of Zimbabwe's Congress.
Yes. So as you can see from the report, Chinese companies have been caught red-handed many times on tape, abusing Zimbabwean employees. Most of you might remember a time when there was a video that went viral of a Chinese employer who fired a gun at 2 Zimbabwean employees for simply demanding their wages. Okay, Leader Sophie's dropped again. For simply demanding their wages, which they had not received. And you might also remember, you might have seen another video which went viral of a Zimbabwean who was trying to raise issues with their working standards and safety issues that they were concerned about. And one of the employers, a Chinese, actually started attacking him right there on camera, and the cameraman kept insisting that this is on camera, but even that did not deter him. He kept on attacking. Yes. And this trend is not only in Zimbabwe. We've seen videos from Nigeria, videos from Kenya, videos from Zambia of Chinese nationals abusing the indigenous citizens in the countries where they are doing business. And so, as the news anchor rightly pointed out, these are Chinese work policies. This is how they do work, even in their own country. This is how they work. They don't care so much about the worker, about the ordinary citizens. They are only focused on making money, on making profits. And so it is something that's very important for us to take note, because as the news anchor pointed out, Chinese have taken over many industries now in Zimbabwe. And there is that risk that at the end of the day, we might fail to pay back what we owe them for all the investments that they are making in our country. And what will happen then, which has already happened in other countries like in Zambia, China will start to take over the assets of the country as payment for the debts owed to them. And so it is just another reason why it's very important to make sure that this time we get it right. This time we make sure we register to vote, and we get these people out of power before they sell the whole country and everything that is in it. Leader Sophie, I see you're
so
back.
ready
Welcome.
there, Stella. Thank you very much. But you're so right. I was following what you're saying. And what has happened in Zambia is very sad because actually, there was a video of a Chinese restaurant where they actually put up a poster saying no foreigners allowed. And these foreigners, they're talking about our black people. So this
Yes,
man, a black Zambian man who had his Chinese wife, went in for dinner in this Chinese restaurant, and they actually chased him out, and they said no foreigners allowed. So you can imagine
yes.
people calling you a foreigner when you're in your own country.
Own country.
And there was nothing that the government could do because you know what? They owe so much. They owe so
Yes,
much to the Chinese government that they can't even reprimand these Chinese who are mistreating their own nationals. So
yes,
we are in a sad situation where we might find ourselves in the same situation where the Chinese company owners cannot be reprimanded because we owe them so much that we cannot even protect our own citizens against abuse by the Chinese.
yes, yes. And another issue I'm sure is the lack of the will to do anything, because these corrupt politicians, they get a lot of money in their pockets to to sell our countries very cheap, but in their own personal pockets they get a lot of pocket money, so they do not have that will to bring these people
Mm,
to account, because they are protecting their own interests. And so it is of the utmost
mm,
importance to get these people out, and choose a leadership that actually does care about the people.
mm, mm, mm.
Y- I cannot hear you, leader Sophie.
Yes, so rightly there, Stella, very, very correct. Which is why we need to remind each other to register, to go and vote. Let's all go out and vote. Let's get this illegitimate government out. Can you hear me now, leader?
Much better. I hear you much
Can you
better.
hear me if I remove my camera?
Yes, I hear you much better without the
Can you hear me
camera.
now, leader?
Yes, I can hear you, leader Sophie. Can you hear me?
Much better.
Okay,
Okay. No,
great.
thank you so much. Yes, I was like that. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great.
Right. So I actually agree with you so much that, you know what, we need to get everything in our power to get this illegitimate leadership out. Let's all register to go and vote. If we can information, the toll-free number, 08080219. Let's get information. Let's go and all register to vote. Let's go and vote, and let's get this illegitimate government out. And all of us in the diaspora, let us fund an agent. The program that Hope Chingono had started and is going ahead. Let's fund an election agent, and let's have election agent at all polling stations to minimize on the rigging that this illegitimate government did last time. So let's vote, let's fund an election agent, and let us always make noise. Let us make noise that we know what's going on. We know what they will do. Let us change our nation.
Yes, absolutely. If I can read a few comments, leader Sophie. Violet Guaze wrote, "So pathetic. Colonized by China, the worst oppressor." Very true. What is happening in a number of African countries at the moment is we are being recolonized, but this time we are being colonized by a people who they are experts at the game of oppression. They have had lots of practice in their own country oppressing their own people,
Mhm.
and so it is a very sad state of affairs. Fadzi Natasha says, Kukunzi ndaibatira panzira. Well, yeah, we're just talking about the Chinese who have taken over many of the industries in Zimbabwe and are now abusing our their employees. Anzina Lisa S. Mumba, tipeiwo number zenyu. Oh, absolutely, my sister. Give us a moment and we will flight the number in our banner very soon. And Mike J. T. Zirepi Hama says, Limen Leo Majoni, iradio yeshanduko iri ku UK mira ndikupe namba dzacho dzevana DJ vacho kana muchida kutaura zvamoda. Mike, could you post a comment for everybody else who might want to get in touch with our DJs and with our radio? We will flight another number on the screen soon. Yeah, Trust Norway says, hello guys, we connected to you very clearly and loud. Thank you, team. Thank you, my brother Trust. Thank you for coming in and supporting us. Without you, we can't do this. Thank you so much. Yeah, Leader Sophie, back to you. Leader Sophia. Are you still there, Leader Sophie? Leader Sophie. Technical team, could you please flight the change radio number for our viewers and listeners, those who might want to get in contact with us? Oh, okay. I just received a message from Leader Sophie. She says her phone is overheating. Okay. One of the stories that we have for you today is about North America Dakota MDC Alliance, which sponsored borehole construction for a community in Zimbabwe. And so we would like to take this time to acknowledge their efforts and thank them for, remembering our brothers and sisters who are in a difficult situation at the moment. People don't have running water, and as we all know, water is life. Without running water, everything else goes wrong, from sickness, health deteriorates. And so we would like to Oh, hello, Leader Barbara. You should be in here, Leader Barbara, not Leader Barbara Gwangwara Tanyanyiwa. You should be in here with us. not on Facebook, commenting on Facebook. So yes, we would like to give a heartfelt thank you.
Leader Barbara, how are you?
Yes, Leader Barbara is with us on Facebook. So a heartfelt thank you to North America Province, Dakota, for the help that they have provided in sponsoring boreholes for our communities in Zimbabwe. Leader Sophie. Okay. Another story that we have on our lineup is the
Can you
demolition.
hear me now, Leader Estella?
Yes, I can hear you, Leader Sophie.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the North America update. I think maybe could you flight the Jacob Zuma videos for us?
Sure, sure. Leader Sophie? So our viewers and listeners, for those who are asking for Change Radio
Can you
number.
hear me?
Leader Sophie?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clearly there, Stella.
Okay, yes. So I was just informing our viewers and listeners that.
So our viewers and listeners, for those who are asking for Change Radio's number.
Okay, I can hear Leader Sophie. You're receiving.
Yes. So I was just informing our viewers and listeners that.
Okay, so the number for Change Radio, for those of you who would like to get in contact with us on Change Radio, there's our number on which you can contact us, and you can get us on WhatsApp on that number. So do not hesitate to send a message if you have any feedback or any requests, that of anything that you might like us to, any issues you might like us to touch on. Leader Sophie, are you still there?
You can hear me now, Leader?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being patient with me. Apologies to our viewers. Well, the connection is acting up. Thank you so much for being with us. I think, yeah, we were talking about the Jacob Zuma saga.
Oh, yes, that's right, Leader Sophie.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so the former South African president, Zuma, being slapped with a 15-month jail sentence for contempt of court, as I'm sure a lot of us will aware, that he refused to show himself or to give further evidence or testimony at the Zone Commission that is investigating the state capture in South Africa. The reason that he gave, was that the judge was in charge of the commission is conflicted, and that he should recuse himself, Judge Raymond Zondo. But he used and had the matter over the constitutional court. The reason why the commission was saying that, look, what should I be at the commission was a number of friends of the current South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, also refused to show up at the Zondo commission to give a testimony. So Jacob, why should I be to go? Also refusing to go. And the nature of the relationship.
Leader Sophie?
Yes, I can hear you, Leader Estella. So Jacob Zuma refusing to go to the commission, and then the Constitutional Court finding him guilty of contempt of court and ordering that he serve 50 months in prison. So we had the nation, the Amahuto, standing behind and standing with the former president and saying that no one should be sent to jail. And also a large number of people in different nations and different walks of life also saying no one is a bit harsh. And but the recent development that being for President Jacob Zuma filing for reprieve and the Constitutional Court also allowing for him to bring in his submission as to why he should not be put in prison. So this is where we are with Jacob Zuma's story as of this moment. So we wait to hear from the Constitutional Court and what plays out, how it plays out, if Jacob Zuma will go to prison or if he will not. And we also wait to see what happens with the whole state capture commission and the final report.
Yes, thank you, Leader Sophie. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm with you, Leader.
Okay. I think
I think, maybe Jay, I think we managed to touch on the main headlines, the story that made a lot of headlines, but before we go, just to remind our viewers as well, go out to register to vote. Please call the free number 0808-0219 and being fight at the bottom of the screen to get all the information I need, what is required, where the registration centers are. All of that information you'll be given when you call the toll-free number 0808-0219. Let's go out and vote and let's get this illegitimate government out. Which Official Justice book has exposed that actually the correct figure of the presidential elections 2008 results were that President Mr. won by an overwhelming 66%, but they were called CIO agents into the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission Command Center, and they were punching in fake figures into Excel spreadsheets, which are the fake results that we saw being announced. Which is why this is Excel games, because these CIO agents were punching in fake figures into Excel spreadsheets, which gave us wrong the illegitimate government, the illegitimate leadership that we're sitting with today, that cannot afford or that does not care about its citizens. That citizens walking, retired citizens walking 7 kilometers because they can't afford to pay for fares, which someone just wakes up nowhere and decides to work by 100%. They cannot access their pensions. COVID-19 stimulus packages being so. People are being affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. People are dying. The money was there, but you've got Obadiah Moyo walking scot-free. You've got that stuff is walking scot-free. And yet they stole money from the stimulus package. Let's go and vote. Let's make Zimbabwe great, what it should be, where it should have been, where it was before. Let's go and vote and let's make a difference. Let's elect our president in office. Let's do it for me.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Leader Sophie. You heard it, viewers and listeners. She was reminding you once again to make sure that you register to vote and you encourage those around you to also go and register to vote. Leader Sophie, I think we have come to the end of our today's episode of News Review. Is that so? Am I right?
Yes. Thank you so much to our viewers, listeners all over the world. Thank you. Thank you, behind the scenes, our viewers and listeners. We very appreciate it. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Yes. Thank you so much to all our viewers and listeners, wherever you are joining us from and whichever platform you are joining us through. Would like to take this opportunity to wish you a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on the situation wherever you are. And thank you once again for joining us, and hope to see you all joining us again, same time next week, same day. We will leave you listening to a song by one of our liberation song singers, a group called Sisisibo. She will be launching a new album shortly, so we will tell you more about it as we go nearer to to the launch date. So from us signing off, goodbye to you all. Bye bye.